Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Yeah, Nyx is coming next month, and this week it might be with Evocati. The Vanduul are finally in the PU, and Star Genesis looks like it's going to be doing some massive changes to every single planet we have. So yeah, CitizenCon 2025 was a lot, and we are very late with this video, but we're going to do something a little bit different. What we've done is we've taken the entire transcript of CitizenCon Direct, all the dev talk, all the announcements, all the details, and fed it directly into our trusty Outlaw Bot. And what it's done is analyzed everything and prepared a list of questions for us to answer. Let's get started. Outlaw Bot, you have the floor. Hit us with the first query.
The developers described Nyx as a remote and rugged system with a frontier feel, comparing it to the TV show Deadwood rather than the Mad Max-style chaos of Pyro. What are your initial thoughts on this tone? Is a more lawless but livable frontier system a compelling addition to the verse?
I mean, for our channel, the Nyx is perfect. It's got a load of mining that's coming, which Falgard's going to love, because he hasn't properly done that yet. But the lore behind Nyx as well really fits with the Orbital Outlaws, really. So, I mean, having another system is fantastic. It's going to add a whole load more exploration. It's very, very close to Vanduul space. Looks all dangerous and a whole load more missions and everything. So I think it's good to have something a little bit different to Pyro. Well, I love Pyro. It's often not as PvP centered as most of Stanford. No, I am very happy to see Nyx being brought in, hopefully next month.
Levski is officially coming back as the central hub of Nyx. It was a fan favorite location for a long time. What do you think its return means for the community? And what are your hopes for the updated version?
So I didn't actually play during the time of when Levski was around to roam around in, so I don't really know what to expect. I've seen various different videos of what it looked like, and looking at the current work in progress stuff, it looks like a great place to be. I'm hoping it doesn't just take elements from what Pyro looked like, because some of the Pyro stations looked a little bit samey, so I'm hoping that it's got its own view, its own style, and the stations aren't just copy and paste.
The visual design of Nyx includes a constant, visible threat from bordering Vanduul space, which designers will use to place more dangerous content. How do you feel about a system having such a clear danger zone built into its skyline? Does this add to the immersion?
I think it adds to the immersion if it has some sort of impact. So yeah, so if the more dangerous activity and the more dangerous content is as you get closer and closer to Vanduul space, but isn't done in a way where it's like very abrupt. So you could be flying at one stage and it's all fine and nice, and then just in danger. I think it has to have a sort of band, and then elements of, say, the Vanduul just entering a certain space and causing trouble. That I think would be great for immersion. And then as well, figure out what's going on with this new mission where they've started to attack this location. So I think it's definitely good for immersion, having that view of the Vanduul space, sort of the tease of it, and then having them come and raid and do whatever it is they do.
CIG announced they'll be building out Nyx with new content throughout the year, rather than releasing it as a mostly complete system like Pyro. What are the pros and cons of this iterative, public-facing development approach for a new star system?
Well, I mean, I think when it comes to Star Citizen, we're used to things being developed in an iterative way. When we had Pyro come out, it very much was broken when it came out. So them trying to make sure everything was done and ready for that launch, I think caused a whole load more problems. Whereas in some ways doing it like this means that they can give us the new system, give us a bit of new content, and then continue to work on all the other elements that are going to be a part of it. We know we're not going to get Nyx 1 straight away. That's got all of the new Star Genesis tech with it. and that will be further along the line next year. So having that iterative approach, I think, is fine, as long as it doesn't result in they release something and it completely breaks the area, which in some of the patches this year has happened. We had the whole problem with freight elevators. This most recent patch, and missions have broken, loot boxes are broken as well. So we just need to see that iterative approach work well without it breaking other things.
The People's Alliance of Levski was presented as a group of revolutionaries who have fallen on hard times and now face new threats. What role do you see them playing? Will they be a compelling new faction for players to build a reputation with?
I mean, I quite like the lore behind the People's Alliance. They sort of match up with a lot of the things that we develop for the lore of the Orbital Outlaws, pragmatic insurrectionists. And so the People's Alliance sort of matched that in terms of they were breaking away from the dictatorship that was the UEE at that time. In terms of our lore, we still see the UEE being quite a dictatorship in a different guise, with all the corporations and just hammering on like everyday regular people. So we sort of see that in the lore. We're not role players, but we like having that little bit of narrative to our own things. That's pretty much why Nyx is going to be our central home for much of our activities and how we branch out and do our events that we do later on. Right, I think that's probably enough about Nyx for the moment. I know there's probably more that we can talk about Nyx, but yeah, how about we move on to our next category of questions.
The Welcome to Nyx mission will feature our first ever fight against Vanduul ships in the persistent universe. After years of them being this looming threat, how significant is it to finally see them in-game? What are your expectations for their AI and combat style?
Well, I mean, we've seen the Vanduul already with squadrons. You know, they are a significant threat. They're massive beasts, and really, really strong. So I'm sort of hoping that they are a tough adversary, but also at the moment the mission that we see, it's only fighting them in ships. So I'm hoping they bring some of the elements of how the Vanduul fight, because in some of the lore, especially when they use the blade and ships like that, they essentially try and slice through ships with their wings. Now, with the current damage model, that's probably not going to be a practical thing, but as they implement the new damage model, maybe that becomes their combat style. So you have to be a lot more careful and watch out for them heading straight to ramp. Whether we get that or whether that's a later step, I'd like to see them being a tough opponent to take on, and maybe they don't just fight from range like most of the NPCs that we have, apart from the animals. They will charge at us and go into...
Instancing is officially coming in 2026 to create tailored experiences like Siege of Orison and the new Municipal Works dungeon under Levski, protected from outside interference. This is a huge topic in MMOs. What are your thoughts on the balance between a shared, open sandbox and these curated, instanced
I mean, instancing is a hot topic, and I don't think we're ever going to get to a point where everyone agrees on how it's used. You know, they've stated that they're going to use instancing to protect the servers in some ways, for content, and also protect certain... My only sort of gripe with instancing is if they use it as a crutch. If they cannot get server meshing and the whole server system to work properly, that they then just rely on instancing to facilitate the experience for us as players. And that just ruins the sandbox. If we're doing certain instancing, like Siege of Orison and things like that, where you want to go with a team, and most of the time, in other cases where there's a large server population, you can't really end up going to do those experiences because they're already done. Everything's dead and it's all just overloaded with people. So I think in some ways it's fine for that. And then they also added the concept of instancing when it came for exploration. So rather than the whole of the system having these exploration nodes that you can find, having them essentially generate for you when you take on a mission, which I think in those contexts would be okay. It's just we don't know how exploration and the use of that exploration data is going to work, especially when you want to sell that data for this specific area that someone can go and mine, someone can go and salvage those rights. How is that going to work? So I think we need to sort of see how they implement instancing, and hopefully they don't use it as a crutch.
FPS crafting is coming, allowing players to create weapons and armor with better, specialized stats using materials of varying quality. Do you see this as a healthy progression system for Star Citizen? How might it impact the game's economy and the value of player-made gear?
I mean, having player-made gear is a requirement, it's a need. At present, all we've got is looting and finding rare gear based on RNG. Whereas crafting is always a massive element within any MMO. And I'm gonna want to see how crafting then combines with science and researching blueprints and being able to research even higher grades of blueprints for weapons, attachments, armor, everything. Just because I'm really interested in that science side of the gameplay. But also for the player economy, it means that if in its current state, what we have is a player-driven outside of the game economy. So we need to get those tools for in-game player economy as well. So you can have your own shop. You can store your gear for it to be sold without you having to be online or anything like that. So you've essentially got your own shop. And then that way people can become renowned for having the top sort of gear that they can create because they've got the blueprints and they've got the materials to build. And then even from there, you become a sort of a situation where someone has really high quality gear and we're outside of the world of tier 0, and so you can start stealing people's gear. You can hack the gear so that if they've insured it, it doesn't become so all of those elements, it makes it so much more vibrant in terms of the possibilities of you being able to get gear outside of RNG.
They're finally adding interstellar hauling missions that cross between star systems. How important is this feature for making the universe feel truly connected and creating emergent gameplay opportunities for haulers, escorts, and pirates?
I mean, hauling in its current state is not great. The hull C is currently broken. So really, to be able to get a decent sort of feeling out of interstellar hauling, then they need to really fix that. But I think in terms of the missions, it gives a good variety of not just being stuck in Stanton or stuck in Pyro. You can be sent in loads of different areas of the verse and find new areas as well. You know, they might not always go to the same place. It might give you a reason to venture into Pyro because there is a really lucrative contract that even if it's just a small amount of SCU delivered to Ruin or Obituary, it gives a reason to go to those places without the reason of, oh, I'm going to the Lazarus location, I'm going to the contested zones or things like that. It's more of a, right, this whole experience, all the systems is my gameplay today, not just I'm going to be sat in Pyro for today, I'm going to be sat in Stanton for today.
The new Rockcracker activity involves reactivating abandoned stations to break open massive asteroids that you can fly your ship inside to mine. What are your impressions of this as a new multi-stage, sandbox gameplay loop?
I mean, I'm not sure what to think of it at the moment. I think it's good that you've got an opportunity to have mining as part of another sort of experience. And you have to do several different steps to get there. It's a bit similar to what they've done with the Hathor location. It's just this time you get to fly a ship to mine. My My only thing that I would sort of really love to see is that these stations are just there, but there's not a rock that's spawned in there. Maybe you get an STV or something to be able to drag these different rocks to this location. There might be rocks that you can't mine with an Arastra and an Orion. You need that station power to be able to crack them. So maybe if you are able to pull these rocks into this location and do the same thing, because then it feels like it's a more dynamic, rather than just waiting there to wait for this rock to spawn and do all the steps and then mine. It feels like that would be a much better feeling way of using a station like that. That's probably enough of the new gameplay stuff. So let's move on to our next topic, shall we?
The Anvil Paladin. This is Anvil's new gunship, built to support ground ops with a multi-crew focus, remote turrets, and high armor. Where do you see the Paladin fitting into the current ship meta? Is there a need for a dedicated, slow-moving gunship like this?
I hate the sort of ship meta rubbish. However, the Paladin is a beast. I got it as soon as it was announced last year. So, I mean, I love the look of the thing. I love the concept of it just being a gunship. No storage, nothing else. You could just use it as with a team and just run around, kill things on the ground and in space. It fits that bill, but also the sound engineering of that ship is impressive. I mean, as soon as you put any amount of throttle on it, just the deep whomp as that engine fires is and even so, it's got a hell of a lot of firepower. You can run it with just two people and use all the guns, which I think is great. But even better if you've got a fully crewed one, so then the pilot can just concentrate on getting on target and everything. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a fantastic ship to add to the verse, and I can't wait to have like two of them running around with a Perseus as well.
The Esperia Stinger, a replica of a Vanduul heavy fighter, described as a tanky brawler. A key detail is that Esperia has swapped the alien weapons for standard human mounts, allowing for customization. Does this make it a more attractive option for...
I mean, I definitely think so. My first initial alien ship that I got was a Blade. And I got it because I loved the look of it. The concept of it being able to slice through ships with its wings was great. Obviously, you can't do that yet, but also all the weapons were bespoke and you couldn't change anything, and you couldn't change anything on it. Whereas with the Stinger, it still has that one gun that it can't change, which I think is great with the lore of it. It wasn't able to be changed because it's so embedded within the bowels of the ship. You're able to put different weapons on, and it is underpowered. It's a bit lightweight at the moment for a heavy fighter. So I mean, trying to power laser weapons with it needs probably a bit more power to be able to support that, especially when you consider the Paladin has 3 power cores. So yeah, but I mean, then you could just use ballistics. You could use that with it, and it would still work, and you have a hell of a lot of firepower. But yeah, no, I like the ship, and I think a lot of people that I've talked to really love the ship as well.
The Shiv by Gray's Market. This ship is a wild one, a heavily modified cutlass fused with parts from other manufacturers like Anvil and Crusader. It's being sold by a new shady dealer, Grey Chowdhury. What are your thoughts on this kit-bashed ship design philosophy? Is it a cool new direction for the universe?
Hey, no, I wouldn't call him shady. I'd just call him, using Indian intuition. I mean, if the Paladin hadn't come out, this would have probably been my favorite ship that was released. It's basically, Drake were deemed as the orc of the Star Citizen universe. However, Chowdhury has taken that to another level and just kit bashed everything that he could into the Shiv. I mean, the fact that it's built off of a cutlass is even better. That's probably one of the main ships that people upgrade to when they start the game. And I think this is probably going to be my new daily driver to sort of just potter around in. It's got enough firepower to run solo, and it's got a bit of storage space. You can chuck in a pulse in the back and still have plenty of room for any loot that you find. So yeah, I love the ship.
The new unbranded weapons, along with the Shiv, Grey Chowdhury is selling a new set of scrappy, unbranded weapons, a space AK that alternates ballistic and energy shots, a hard-hitting .50 cal LMG, and a makeshift rocket launcher. What's your take on this new tier of non-corporate, outlaw-style weaponry?
I mean, I love the fact that there is new weaponry, and not just from the corporates. I think we needed it, really, in all honesty, because we can't just have a whole universe where everyone uses the same weapons from all the corporations in standard. We need that sort of new and dynamic gear that we can all use. And this fits Nyx and everything perfectly, because it's outside of the UEE's sphere of influence. And so Grey Chowdhury's gone a little bit different with the way that he's developed these things. And I haven't got a hand on any of these guns yet, but I'm really looking forward to being able to use them and seeing what else comes from Grey Market as well.
Looking at the 3 new ships, which one are you most excited to see in the verse and why? The military Paladin, the alien Stinger, or the outlaw Shiv?
What's really annoying is that if these ships were released on their own, there would be a song and dance about every single one. But the fact that they've been released all together has been difficult to sort of pick out which one is the favorite. I mean, I love the Paladin to run around with like 2 people or a full crew. That's it. It really works. And it's really nice to fly, and the amount of damage it can output is immense. But then, the Stinger looks fantastic, and if it had a bit more health, if it had a bit more power, then it would be excellent. It would still sort of put up a fight with a lot of the other ships that are out there. And then the Shiv was a great surprise. It's added a bit of fun to some of the other ships that are in the game, and it's got a proper new feel, and that sort of goes along with us then getting Nyx as well. So it's a ship for that area as well. Let's get to our final topic now, shall we?
Genesis is the new name for the suite of technologies completely overhauling how planets are built, using physical data to make them feel more realistic and varied. Based on the footage, how much of a leap forward do you think this is for planetary exploration and visual quality?
So, I mean, we saw Genesis last year when they were doing a lot of the announcements for Star Architect. I think they've moved along quite well with it. And, seeing how Genesis then interacts with Star Architect in terms of how it places outposts and how the areas change. So, especially when base building comes in, how does the environment change around where someone's built? It's all based on the physical data to make things feel realistic. So as soon as you start planting bases and everything on a planet's surface, how is that going to impact it? So that, I think, is going to be a really cool element, because we're going to have bases that are in the same location potentially, that are doing different things. So how does that change the way that planet looks compared to the other instance of that planet?
During the Genesis presentation, the devs explicitly mentioned finding a spot where you want to settle down and build your home. This seems to be the strongest hint at player base building yet. What kind of potential does that unlock for the future of the game?
I mean, base building adds a whole heap of content to the game. It's us being able to make a mark on the current surface of planets and everything. So especially with Genesis, how does the base building impact the planet with all of that data? And then as well with base building, setting up shop somewhere, with crafting and everything, that adds even more. It gives people a reason to sort of try and search out these shops, search out these bases, not just to sort of raid and attack them, but to go and visit and sell your goods. So, I mean, base building is going to unlock a massive amount for the future of the game, and you know, as soon as that develops as well into the player-owned stations as well.
The show ended with a look at Tactical Strike Groups, a multi-stage space mission that requires different ship roles to succeed, from fighters to torpedo bombers to ships flying inside a station. Is this the complex, cooperative ship-based PvE content you've been waiting for?
So I mean, having a multi-stage space mission that has to have different ships is the step that we've really needed. You know, a lot of the missions that we've had at present, what you've seen is a bunch of capital ships just turning up and doing it, and then possibly one or two people just showing up with fighters. And a lot of these tactical strike groups have been player-driven events as well. So you've got the likes of Galadrim, who's hosted multi-stage events where he's doing the exact same sort of thing that this strike group would do. So having that in-game as part of the infrastructure of these missions is going to add a whole lot more accessibility to these events and these types of gameplay as well.
A key feature in these missions is the ability for ships to land inside a capital ship's hangar, like the Idris, to refuel and rearm mid-battle. How massive is this feature for enabling large-scale fleet operations and making capital ships true mobile bases?
I mean, it's one of the things that these capital ships are missing, is like that I want to be able to use a ship as a mobile base, and to be able to do that, you're going to need a smaller ship that comes and goes, but it's going to need to refuel when it's there, and you're going to want to enable other people to come to your ship and be able to refuel. So I think allowing that for the big capital ships, but I think as well we need to also make sure that the things like the Starfarer Gemini has the ability to refuel as well. So it's not just the capital ships that get the option to do rearming and refueling, but all the other ships that have it built with them have that ability too.
These missions are designed with mechanics that prevent players from simply bringing the biggest ship to win, such as capital ship killing turrets that force smaller ships to play a role. What are your thoughts on this design philosophy? Does it create a healthier and more engaging combat environment?
Well, I mean, if we recall the last time the Polaris was released, and as well when the Idris was released, all you ended up seeing was solo piloted Polarises, solo piloted Idrises, and to be fair, you still see that currently because they're big, they're beefy, they're tanky, and obviously engineering is going to change that, but forcing the need to have different ships for missions is exactly what we need. There's a whole reason for having a varied fleet. They all suit a role, they all fit a role, and changing it away from I have capital ship, I will take it to the mission and that's it, is a big change, and is one that's really been needed for a lot of the content we've got. So I think having that option where even with some of those missions, just like, well, we don't want to take a capital ship, let's just take the regular ships because it's got the turrets that are going to kill it, so let's just use our regular ships. I think if it allows that as well, then yeah, it's perfect for the sort of engaging environment that we all want to play. Oh right, well that's the last one. I have to say our Outlaw Bot did a pretty decent job. It's got some great bits of insights there. That's our take on what CIG showed off at CitizenCon. Let's hear from you. What are all your thoughts? What are your thoughts on what we've said here? What was the biggest surprise from the event? What are you most excited for? And did we miss anything? Did we need to cover anything else? Just drop all your thoughts in the comments. And while you're down there, you know the drill. Hit that like button. If you enjoyed the video, get subscribed so you don't miss out on our adventures in Nyx. And ring that bell to join the insurrection. Thank you everyone for watching and we will see you in the verse.